Imagine a world where people live chained inside a cave, their heads fixed so they can only see the wall in front of them. Behind them, a fire burns. Between the fire and the prisoners, objects pass, cast as shadows onto the wall. The prisoners believe these shadows are reality. It's the only world they've ever known. This is the famous allegory proposed by the Greek philosopher Plato more than 2,000 years ago. But it's not just an old thought experiment from an ancient text. It's a mirror, reflecting something disturbingly familiar. In today's world, the cave isn't a literal place. It's our curated feeds, our echo chambers, our filtered realities. The shadows on the wall? Viral videos, clickbait headlines, carefully edited social personas. We sit passively, consuming a version of reality that has been manufactured, not necessarily with bad intentions, but with attention in mind. And here's the unsettling part. Just like the prisoners in the cave, most people don't realize they're being shown a simulation. In fact, they defend it, they identify with it, they vote based on it. They form worldviews that are increasingly difficult to update because the cave, in its digital form, is more comfortable than ever. Plato's allegory wasn't just about ignorance, it was about liberation. He described what would happen if a prisoner were freed. If they turned around, saw the fire, and eventually made their way out of the cave and into the sunlight. At first, it would be disorienting, painful even. But then clarity would come. Truth, perspective. And if that enlightened person were to return to the cave to free the others, what would happen? They would be ridiculed, mocked, even attacked. Because to the prisoners, the shadows are not just familiar, they are sacred. This is the core of Plato's message. Enlightenment is not just difficult, it's often unwelcome. So how do we apply this allegory to our world? Let's start with social media. Platforms like Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Facebook have become modern-day fire pits. What's shown to us is algorithmically chosen based on engagement, not truth. You are not seeing the world. You're seeing a version of the world that makes you react. Outrage, laughter, tribalism. It keeps you watching. Every time you scroll, you reinforce your perception of reality. And every time the algorithm learns what you like, it serves you more of the same. You become a prisoner not through force, but through comfort. The cave is cozy. It's convenient. It's addictive. Now think about politics. Many of us live inside ideological caves. We subscribe to sources that confirm our beliefs, surround ourselves with people who think like we do, and villainize the other side. Not because we're bad people, but because certainty feels safer than doubt. When someone steps outside that political cave, questions their party, challenges the narrative, expresses nuance, they're often attacked by both sides. They're seen as traitors. Plato predicted this. When the enlightened return to the cave, they're not welcomed, they're feared. Education, too, is at risk. When schools become more about indoctrination than inquiry, when students are taught what to think instead of how to think, we risk raising generations that mistake shadows for substance. Critical thinking becomes a liability, not an asset. In Plato's view, the role of a true educator is not to fill minds with information, but to guide them out of the cave, to turn them around. But that takes time, patience, and the willingness to be unpopular. Even in personal life, the cave is present. We create digital versions of ourselves, highlight reels, filtered photos, curated opinions. We begin to live through projections rather than presence, and we judge others not by their depth, but by their shadows, the online image they cast. We forget that beyond the cave is a richer, more complex world, one filled with contradictions, messiness, and truth. But here's the paradox. Leaving the cave is deeply uncomfortable. It means confronting your own ignorance. It means admitting that you might have been wrong. It means seeing the people you love trapped in illusions and realizing you might not be able to save them. It's easier to stay in the dark. So how do we escape? First, we must practice awareness. Question the sources of your information. Ask who benefits if I believe this. Who profits from my outrage? Second, embrace discomfort. Read things you disagree with. Talk to people outside your echo chamber. Let your beliefs be challenged. Growth begins where certainty ends. Third, cultivate humility. None of us are fully out of the cave. Even when we think we see the truth, we're often just facing a different wall. The process of enlightenment is continuous, not final. Fourth, be kind to those still inside. Mockery does not liberate, it hardens. Compassion, patience, and example are more powerful than condemnation. And finally, seek truth, not comfort. The light may burn at first, but it reveals a world far more meaningful than the flickering images we've settled for. In today's world, the cave is more seductive than ever. It's personalized, convenient, entertaining. But Plato's warning still echoes. If we mistake shadows for reality, we lose something essential, not just knowledge, but freedom. We don't need everyone to escape, but we do need more people willing to turn around, to see the fire, to step outside, and maybe, just maybe, to return and light the way for someone else. Because truth, however painful, is always more powerful than illusion.